explain to our audience why even a trip like this one, all the trips that we take into space benefit mankind.
So it benefits humankind, and I'm going to keep correcting the mankind and the man-made and the man missions, because this is exactly what this mission is about, is expanding the perspective of who does space.
So explain to our audience why even a trip like this one, all the trips that we take into space benefit mankind.
So it benefits humankind, and I'm going to keep correcting the mankind and the man-made and the man missions, because this is exactly what this mission is about, is expanding.
Excuse me, humankind? What about all the they, them, zay, zers? Do they identify as human? Good morning, pineapples. Rise in freedom. Welcome to the Wake Up America Show. I'm your host, Austin Peterson. Today is Tuesday, the 15th. Have you paid your taxes? Pay your taxes. Oi, you got a license for paying your taxes? April the 15th it is. And if you don't like the government graft, waste, fraud, and abuse, well, why don't you just show up and vote about it? Why don't you just vote harder? Vote harder. Why don't you just vote a little harder? Next time, you don't have to worry about taxes. Hey, why don't you pay your taxes? Relaxing my groin. My groin feeling very relaxed. Amy J. E's hanging out with Will Run Riot, Drew Van Runkle, as well as all of our friends like Bruce Burt Whistle, Quest Fanning, and so many others. Barney Styles, what's up, brother? AP for Liberty. That's me. Barney is still mad at me from yesterday. Nice to see you guys. Welcome to Wake Up America Show. We've got a lot of things to talk about, but guess what? We're not going to talk about a lot of things. You ever have one of those days you're just looking at the news and you're like, God, it's grim. Oh, God, it's dark. Yeah. So how are we doing, guys? Sometimes I got to do a little bit of a mental health check. This isn't one of those shows where I'm going to continually feed you the dark black pill, the slop that so many other morning shows will feed you in terms of news and chatter. Just because, honestly, I think, do you ever just wake up sometimes and look at your phone and be like, that is just pure poison? And then you just turn it right back off and shut it down. And you're like, all right, done with that. Right? I'm not going to do that to you this morning. I read so many news stories and I think, oh, this is a big news story. There's a different angle to cover on this one. But I know that most of you, if you're watching the Wake Up America show, you're probably more on the liberty leaning side of things. So it's disappointing to not be able to cheer everything that your party does. It's not necessarily fun to always be in opposition, because if you stand for something, that means, of course, you don't fall for lots of things. And if you don't fall for lots of things, well, then you're forever ineligible to be a part of the crowd. You know what I'm saying? But at least you thought for yourself. So I don't want to get into too many nitty-gritty details. I'd like to have a little bit of fun. I do have one big dark story, and we're going to have Camellia Peterson join us at 8 a.m. Central Time to talk to us about it. This ancient altar found in the Guatemalan jungle, apparently used for sacrifices, especially of children, according to the archaeologists who have found this. Now, we all are familiar with the stories of the Zompantli, of the Aztecs and the Mayan, the sacrifices. Well, this is a new ancient altar that was especially for children, child sacrifices. And it leads me to a discussion, and especially when we're having conversations about foreign policy in this country, and Israel versus Palestine, Ukraine versus Russia. When we talk about these issues, we very rarely talk about the concept of a cultural relativism, right? And this concept of cultural superiority, and then there's cultural supremacy. And these are the kinds of terms that get bandied about in internet forums and on podcasts. But rarely do you see them approached by people like ourselves who are cultural generalists, I would say, Camellia and myself. We tend to enjoy a broader mix of cultures. But I think everybody can say, when we see the child sacrifice altars, that we could say perhaps our culture is at least better than that culture. Can we say that? Can we all agree on that? And if we do, then of course it begs the question, right? Are some cultures superior to others? Well, I think that if we can agree on that situation, then maybe we can apply that to other discussions, perhaps more modern ones. No, Austin. How dare you? Listen, I mean, some systems are better than others. We're going to talk about that this morning with Camellia. We'll tie it into modern American foreign policy discussions, and she'll be here with us this morning at 8 a.m. Central Time. So if you're excited, if you love Camellia, she'll be here this morning at 8 a.m. per usual, and I know you guys will appreciate that. We are going to talk this morning about some fun stuff, like we're going to talk about Katy Perry going to space, and apparently Wendy's, the hamburger place, thinks that she should stay there, which, why is Wendy's weighing in on that? I have no idea. I was just laughing so hard at this clip this morning, I had to play it for you. That former astronaut, Mae Jemison, she got triggered when a CBS reporter used the term mankind. That's one small step for, I guess he got the line wrong. Should have been humankind, according to Mae Jemison.
So explain to our audience why even a trip like this one, all the trips that we take into space benefit mankind.
So it benefits humankind, and I'm going to keep correcting the mankind and the man-made and the man missions, because this is exactly what this mission is about.
I giving a shits over in the chat says, dark days? I know it's so hard watching the news. Well, yeah, because it's all stupid people like this who rule over us.
The trips that we take into space benefit mankind.
So it benefits humankind, and I'm going to keep correcting the mankind.
And you're going to keep correcting that, are you? Are you? Ike, that is pure poison. Pure poison. I hate to use a Harry Potter reference, but I'm gonna. Does anybody remember the part of the story in Harry Potter when they're searching for the final Horcrux? Or at least one of the final Horcruxes. Spoiler alert for those who haven't seen or read the Harry Potter books or movies. But Harry Potter has to give Dumbledore a drink out of this goblet from this pool, and he has to force Dumbledore to drink from this pool, and this pool causes Dumbledore to have nightmares and terrors and to be plagued by demons. And no matter what Harry does, he has to keep feeding Dumbledore this poisoned water as Dumbledore begs him to stop. Please stop feeding this slop to Dumbledore. This is kind of that situation, right? Mental health is a real thing. You read these kinds of news stories all day long. It'll make you sick. You end up like these kinds of people, Dr. Mae Jemison and others, right? I mean, a long, steady, slow drip of poison in your brains. And my job here is to act as your filter. I'm the lungs of your brain. I'm here to offer you the news and stories as the best I can, and to try and filter them for you. I know people, filter. People need filters, right? You got to be able to search filters, right? So I act as a news filter for you, and I try not to poison your brains to the largest extent possible. Try and give you good news, fresh news, good guests, things that are going to help, build up your mind, not tear you down or destroy you. Some people, for some reason, man, they're addicted to pain and suffering. They're addicted to the poison. All right, that's why I really like that story of Joe Rogan talking about quitting alcohol that I played yesterday. He's like, why am I doing all of this to my body, trying to make myself healthy, and then poisoning myself twice a week? He makes a good point. I was thinking about that as I was having a nice glass of Jameson's last night. How about you? That's one small step for humans, one giant leap for humankind. You're not quite sure. Quest Fanning says, by its etiology, man had meant all people and has only recently been associated more with males. Was the traditional telemetry for a male adult, like as in werewolf. Thank you, Quest, and thank you for the donation, brother. And remember, I do give bad news as well as good news, but just sometimes you got to just take it easy and talk about something fun and something funny. I've got funny clips here of Katy Perry going to space, some of the reactions, Amy Schumer getting clowned, getting dogged. We're going to laugh. We're going to have fun. We are going to talk about that, and I do have some serious subjects. But I mean, if you want to obsess over Carmelo Anthony, the guy who stabbed a fellow student and is now out on bail. And if you want to rage over that kind of stuff, just get really angry about stuff, then I'm sure there's a million people who are going to give you that kind of content today. But you know what? I'm going to make you laugh. I'm going to make you cry. I'm going to make you feel good because it's the morning. Let's just start our morning. Let's ease into it. What do you say, guys? All right. So I give it a shits. Is this lady a scientist? So being wrong is right.
So explain to our audience why even a trip like this one, all the trips that we take in this space benefit mankind.
So it benefits humankind, and I'm going to keep correcting the mankind and the man-made and the man missions, because this is exactly what this mission is about.
Must you be so pedantic?
The perspective.
What was the video we played? I think it was last week. It was Anderson Cooper, and he misgendered. Somebody was going to ask a question in the audience, and they said, this young lady, you can stand up and ask a question. She's like, it's they, them. And even the left has got to be rolling their eyes. Oh, they, them, they, her. We're glad to have all of our friends joining us live here, like Joni Rankin and Bruce Burtwhistle and Will Run Right. Don't forget, guys, if we hit the $75 bonus goal, then we will unlock today's bonus content, and I think you guys will like it. It's on a wing and a prayer. Our Lego mini documentaries have been huge hits. Javier Milei actually shared the ones that we had done about him, so they're getting huge traction. So you guys are actually doing a favor to the rest of the internet and the rest of the world who gets to see the bonus content, because of course, if we don't unlock it, then it goes away forever and nobody gets to see it. So you guys are kind of like the vanguard for getting out certain ideas that may people. Here's the thing. You can talk about things that you love and things that you think are interesting all day long and hope that people care about it, things that you care about and hope that other people care about them, but they won't care about them unless you put them in the form of Lego mini documentaries, Lego style mini documentaries. Then people will watch and listen and care. We've cracked the code. So don't forget to drop those Rumble rants here, and just like Quest Fanning did. So we've only got to get $70 more raised by the end of the show to unlock today's bonus content. And we actually have a special little bonus on the bonus content today. So we are doing a little bit of a giveaway, a new little giveaway. So the person who is the one who unlocks the bonus content today, so if everybody gives like $5, the person who hits the $75 amount is going to get a gift today from me, which is a piece of AP history. If you're an AP for Liberty fan, then I've got one of our very first items, our tchotchkes that we gave away when I ran for president back in 2016. And these are rare. There's only like 10 of these left. But this is an Austin Peterson for President 2016 AP for LP. Back when I was still in the Libertarian Party. I don't know if you could see it there. But I have some original Austin Peterson for President merchandise today, and that's going to go out to the person who hits the $75 total. So you could do it if let's say, for example, you go to forlibertyshop.com. All of the purchases, they also count. So if you're a person who just goes to For Liberty Shop and buys like a jacket or something, or a couple boxes, 2 or 3 boxes of coffee, if you hit $75 raised and that purchase does it, then we will include with that a rare piece of AP for LP presidential merch from 2016. There you go. So a little bit of a bonus on your bonus. And I also want to take a moment, guys, to thank our great sponsor. We are very fortunate to be sponsored. It's a rare thing these days in podcasts to be sponsored. That is a direct sponsor. And Meds Sites, that's MEDZ, sites.com, has stepped up and wants to introduce themselves to you. And I'm happy to do so, because if you believe in medical freedom like I do, you're going to want to check them out. This is a company that helps you to take your health back in your hands. They offer real solutions for men's health, women's health, viral care for all mankind, right? Mankind, womankind, all without the hassle of an RX. That's right. No gatekeepers, just fast, secure, and discreet delivery right to your door. You can see pinned in the profile one of the links to their website. They've got everything from Mounjaro for sugar and weight loss to Sildenafil and Avenafil if you're looking for a little energy in the romance department. They even carry essentials like Ivermectin, Hydroxychloroquine, Azithromycin, Doxycycline, and more, all trusted by people who know what it means to take responsibility for their own well-being. And right now they're offering a 20% discount on everything in the store, but because they're friends of the show, you can get an extra 5% off with the promo code AP4Liberty25. That's AP, the number 4, Liberty 25 to get 25% off your entire order. So if you support medical freedom and you want to support this show, head over to medzsites.com. That's MEDZ sites.com. Show them some love for standing with us and for helping us keep the liberty movement alive and well. You can see their comment pinned in. You can click on that link to do it, to watch it. Thank you, MedSites.
It is the highest high, and it is surrender to the unknown, trust, and this whole journey is not just about going to space. It's the training, it's the team, it's the whole thing. I couldn't recommend this experience more. This is like up there with all the, different tools that I've learned in my life, from meditation to the Hoffman process. This is up there because what you're doing is you're like really finding the love for yourself, because you got to trust in yourself on this journey, and then you're feeling the love when you come down, for sure, and you're feeling that strength. So I feel really connected to that strong divine feminine right now.
By the way, you're such a badass. I love that the month of April, you're like, I'm going to space and I'm launching my tour.
Okay, so funny. So, Katy Perry, she's trying her best to sound profound. I'm laughing so hard because Wendy's, the fast food chain Wendy's, by the way, I think Stephanie probably made this, one of our hoodies over at forlibertyshop.com. She posted this. It says, studying the effects of cosmetic surgery in space is very important. Let's send Katy Perry to Mars. You can get our Occupy Mars hoodie at forlibertyshop.com. This was an Adidas hoodie, so it's really super high quality, guys. So I like this picture. The inside of the spaceship. Get it? After parking back on Earth, look at the tires over there. There we go, guys. What's with the echo on the clips? I know people have been saying that's been going on. I'm sorry for that, guys. It's some kind of issue that happened with the board, and I'm just going to swap out the board after today's show, and hopefully that's going to fix all of our problems. So if you get a little echo on the clips today, guys, I hope you will please forgive me. Here we go. Live look at the female space crew being astronauts. There we go. Look at this. I love that, man. That is one of the funniest movies ever. What about Bob? What about Bob? Right? Bill Murray lashed to the front of the sailboat, the female space crew being astronauts. Thank you to Jesse Kelly on that one. So plenty of funny stuff over there. Did you guys see, J.D. Vance with the trophy yesterday? The CFB National Championship trophy fell apart as J.D. Vance tries to hold it aloft at the White House. This is like a Loogie Gate from Seinfeld kind of a thing. He says, I didn't want anyone after Ohio State to get the trophy, so I decided to break it. Well, thank you, J.D. Look at this. Watch this. Our illustrious vice president here, not known for football. Here he goes. So he picks up the trophy. Now, hold on here. Now, wait a minute, just a darn minute. Wait just a darn minute here. Look at these boys laughing. Way to go, JD. He's feeling, you can tell he's feeling real bad right there. Wouldn't you just feel like such a jerk? Look at this. Okay, so here's the thing. I actually don't think JD Vance deserves credit for breaking the trophy here, because if you watch, note right here, the man in the tan suit. Here we go. Right here. Watch. Now you see, like, J.D. Vance is picking it up here. Again, this is like the magic loogie from Seinfeld here. Here we go. It goes back and to the left, back and to the left. See, note something here. See this man here with his hands on the top of the trophy? This was the mistake. See, J.D. Vance would have been just fine if he had been allowed to carry this trophy here. But you could see, look, here we go. You see, it was set up. You see, this guy, he's a Democrat. It was a setup. Trump said, oh no. No. This was a setup. It was planned. I think it's disgusting behavior, and it's terrible for all mankind or humankind. But you know what's fun and funny is going to make you laugh? Here's Jeff Bezos.
We love being able to share this experience with you, and thank you for sharing how you feel
right
out
here.
here
Watch.
with our audience. So it's been really, really incredible. So
Billionaire Falls. I don't know why it's so funny to me. I don't know why the internet was obsessed with this. Barney Style says that was a setup. Agreed. Yes. 9/11, not an inside job, but Trophygate, absolutely an inside job. But why? I don't know why.
We love being able to share this experience with you, and thank you for sharing how you feel out here with our audience. So it's been really, really incredible. So the emotions are high because it's so exciting and energizing, and we love being able to share this experience with you, and thank you for sharing how you feel out here with our audience. So it's been really, really incredible. So the emotions are high because it's so exciting and energizing, and we love being able to share this experience with you, and thank you for sharing how you feel out here with our audience. So it's been really, really incredible. So
why is that so funny? I don't know.
So explain to our audience why even a trip like this one, all the trips that we take into space benefit mankind.
So it benefits humankind, and I'm going to keep correcting the mankind and the man-made and the man missions, because this is exactly what this mission is about, is expanding the perspective of who does space.
So explain.
Yeah, who the expected? Don't we know that there are female astronauts? I'm pretty sure that. Yeah, here we are. Sunita Williams. Here she is. Set records on her 3 flights. The ISS was stranded in space by the last administration. Jeanette Garcia writes, the cosplay women today that did something for 10 minutes was not impressive. Yeah, we have actually.
We're coming back before long, so, don't make all those plans without me. We'll be back before too long.
I can tell you at the outset, all of us have the utmost respect for Mr. Musk, and obviously respect and admiration for our President of the United States, Donald Trump. We appreciate them. We appreciate all that they do for us, for human spaceflight, for our nation. And we're thankful that they are in the positions they're in.
There you go. Actual astronauts. Cecilia wants to unlock the bonus content, and if she's the one who hits the magic $75 mark today, then she's going to be the winner of the piece of 2016 presidential campaign memorabilia. She says, can we send other celebrities to space and leave them there? Now, you ask a good question, Cecilia, because apparently you're not the only one to think that way. Where's the beef? Popular fast food chain Wendy's took aim at Katy Perry after she returned to Earth as part of this all-female Blue Origin mission. On Monday, the singer joined Gayle King and Jeff Bezos' fiancée Lauren Sanchez for a historic mission to space. They were joined by astronaut and bioastronautics research scientist Amanda Nguyen, NASA rocket scientist Aisha Bowe, and filmmaker Carrie Ann Flynn. The star-studded team became the first all-female crew to visit space since Soviet cosmonaut Valentina Tereshkova took a solo flight in 1963. But after the crew landed back at Blue Origin's West Texas base, the official X account for Wendy's Burgers threw shade at the California girls hitmaker. Can we send her back? The fast food chain's account wrote in X. Katy Perry has returned from space. Can we send her back, says Wendy's. Yeah, the account went on to repost photos of the singer kissing the ground following her return. I kissed the ground and I liked it, it tweeted. I kissed the ground and I liked it. Looks like it's no cherry chapstick.
Where's Carrie Ann? Okay, good. See if she likes it. Oh, I'm excited.
Hey man, if you wanted to get girls interested in space and doing space stuff, this is the kind of stuff you got to do. Nice figures.
Well, they're comfortable. Okay, that's for sure.
Oh my God. It's kind of, I don't know, dystopian in some ways. guess, at least they are actually going to space. There you go. All right. Well, congratulations, Katy Perry. Thank you to Wendy's. Wendy. Give me the bat, Wendy. Let's check out their account anyway. I kissed the ground and I liked it. Thank you, Wendy's. We appreciate that. Some good humor. Frosty. Mankind. Today, Blue Origin took one giant step for mankind. They got 6 women ready to leave on time. Wow, that was quite an accomplishment. Engineers are still repairing the ship, writes Corey Schweiger. The oil light was on and none of them said anything. A sexist would say, how dare you? Yes, it's so sexist.
Explain to our audience why even a trip like this one, all the trips that we take into space benefit mankind.
So it benefits humankind, and I'm going to keep correcting the mankind and the man-made and the man missions, because this is exactly what this mission is about, is expanding the perspective of who does space.
Yeah, when we said women in STEM, this isn't what we meant, wrote Wendy's in response. So Perry and her crewmates have been hit with this mass backlash over the space flight on Monday, with the reactions, the criticism coming not only from fans, but also some famous people as well.
Guys, last second, they added me to space, and I'm going to space. I'm bringing this thing. It has no meaning to me, but it was in my bag, and I was like on the subway, and I got the text, and they were like, do you want to go to space? So I'm going to space, and thank you to everyone who got me here, and I'll see you guys in space.
I don't know why. I know people hate Amy Schumer, and she can be quite annoying. $1 billion bought some good memes, I guess. Getting off a commercial flight in 2025, how it feels. Yes, that's right. Yeah, it does sometimes. Drew Van Runkle got himself a Gulf of America Patriotic Pirate t-shirt. Thank you, Drew. That puts us at $35 raised towards the $75 bonus goal. And if we hit that $75 bonus goal, then you'll unlock today's bonus content. And about that bonus content today, today's bonus content unlock comes with a bonus for unlocking the bonus content. So if you unlock the bonus content today, the person who hits the $75 goal, good morning, Itchy McGroin. Nice to see you. I love Relaxing McGroin and Itchy McGroin. It's nice to see you guys. I think you guys are from Dan Bongino's show, aren't you? Well, welcome to the Wake Up America show. I'm Austin Peterson. All the itchy but relaxed groin people, it's good to have you here. If we unlock the bonus content today, guys, you're going to get a piece of 2016 presidential memorabilia. So we appreciate all you do. Barney Stahl says he's been racking his brain to figure out why you thought I was mad at you. All I can say is I think I said I'm glad I didn't sign up for the DC trip. Yes, that's what I would guess. I would think, you'd be mad at me, right? That was because you said don't meet your heroes. Oh, okay. Oops. Stupid. Well, thank you, Barney. I am just a human being. There are people, it is strange, I won't go off on this for long, but, people like Katy Perry experience this like every day. There is this strange phenomenon that occurs where people kind of build like somebody that they really admire up in their minds. And then when you meet them, they can never really live up to those standards. I remember Stephanie telling me stories about going on, I think the Warped Tour cruise she used to go on. And she had all of these bands that she loved and she lionized. And then you get in an elevator in a cruise ship with these people and you're like, here, there they are. And it's just like the magic kind of fades. It goes away. I noticed that weird phenomenon too when I was running for president and running for the U.S. Senate. It's strange. It's actually you would think it would be a good idea to go to events and talk to people and try and win their votes in person, hand to hand. There are a lot of people who they do want to shake your hand. They do want to ask you questions in person, and you can earn their support. But you know what the weirdest phenomenon is? And I know it's sad to admit, but you're actually better off. This is if, careful with this advice, take it with a grain of salt. But you're actually better off not meeting people, not going to their events, holding yourself back from them, just talking to people through the television, through commercials, through campaign mailers and stuff, because you're as likely to turn people off as you are likely to turn people on. And then, of course, what happens is that when people believe marketing. They do. They believe marketing. They see television commercials. They see a famous person saying something. They want that. They like that. They do that. I mean, influencers. I mean, how don't you think that I know, right? But that's why there's a lot of talk about responsibility in the influencer space and who's a grifter, who's not a grifter. Because people they hero worship, man. They really do. They love to worship heroes and have heroes that they can look up to. And I do think that to some extent, people do need heroes and people to look up to. But as Relaxium McGroin has says, that Wizard of Oz, stay behind the curtain. Right, exactly. It's very, very much like that. If the Relaxium McGroin people and the Itchy Groin people are all from Dan Bongino, the Bongino Army. Yes, Bongino Army. Always looking for other good folks on Rumble. What's up, Bongino Army? I'll tell you this. I only got to hang out with Dan Bongino for maybe like 15 to 20 minutes. We were both doing an event together for like Turning Point. And we were in like the van and he was sitting behind me. We were just chit-chatting for a little while. I got to say, he was a pretty splendid guy and wicked smart dude. He's not like your typical kind of like right-wing commentator that he's, sort of brainless, right? He just kind of like has a lane that he sticks to. Bongino was the type of man who like knew a lot about a lot of things and was a master of few, and then also knew the limits of his knowledge, which is, for me, that's kind of how I test people's intelligence, is to see not necessarily what I can tell from the limits of their knowledge, but if I can get someone to kind of like talk about things, learn about them, and then see where they say, oh, you know what? I really don't know much about that. Or if somebody says I don't know, I actually find them to be more intelligent if someone admits that they don't know something. And I think I asked Dan a question. He's kind of like, you know what? I'd have to think about that. Or, he's like, I really don't know. And I was kind of like, that is the sign of an educated man, because to be intelligent is to know the limits of your own intelligence. So I was very impressed with him. It's nice to see all of our friends hanging out this morning. Don't forget to click the like button too, guys, if you haven't already. You can send us a text at 573-319-1586. The text lines are open anytime, night or day. You don't have to just be watching us live to be able to participate in texting the show and hanging out with me and Stephanie through text at 573-319-1586. Again, that text line, 573-319-1586. And we do check those as well, anytime, night or day. I think Drew Van Runkle was teasing me, winding me up, and he sent me a picture of John Bolton. Hey, your buddy on News Nation. What? Excuse me? Itchy McGroin says that I like Katy Perry and there was risk of something bad happening. Glad they got back, but way too much BS. I'm surprised Bernie Sanders and AOC were not there at the landing. Yes, exactly. Thank you.
No offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
The inside of these pods, though, are absolutely beautiful. Remember when they sent William Shatner up there like 1 or 2 years ago? Here we go. Look at this. Blue Origin. It is a beautiful capsule here. You can see that would be fun. I mean, would you guys do it? Would you go to space? Let me know, guys. Drop a comment. Would you go up in Blue Origin? Some of the stars have sent uplifting words to the crew. Best of luck, Charlie's Angels actress Drew Barrymore says. Want to pick your brain as soon as you get home. She wants her on her show. Others like Olivia Munn have expressed criticism. What are they doing? Like, why? She said on Today with Jenna and Friends. I know this is probably not the cool thing to say, but there's so many other things that are so important in the world right now. Oh, man. I've always thought Olivia Munn was a dish. And I'm glad to hear that she's as cynical as the rest of us.
Explain to our audience why even a trip like this one, all the trips that we take in this space benefit mankind.
So it benefits humankind, and I'm going to keep correcting the mankind and the man-made and the man missions, because this is exactly what this mission is about, is expanding the perspective of who does space.
Yeah, okay, thanks, lady. In honor of their historic Blue Origin New Shepard 31 flight, the women's spacesuits featured their names and a sweet nod to their careers. On Katy Perry's outfit, there was a firework next to her name as a nod to her hit Firework, obviously. She also brought a daisy flower with her on the flight as a tribute to her and her fiance, Orlando Bloom's 4-year-old daughter, Daisy. Lauren Sanchez, her name had a fly near it, a nod to her recently released children's book, The Fly Who Flew to Space. Meanwhile, King, her name had a microphone next to it in a sweet nod to her work as CBS News anchor. I think it's nice. If people weren't so annoying about it, you know what I'm saying, right? But Wendy's, they were not happy about it. They decided to just rip on it. But if anything, can we send her back? Writes Wendy's. I'll never forgive Russell Brand for putting his dirty, sleazy fingers all over my beautiful Katy Perry. I was just devastated when they got together. So glad when they broke up. Katy Perry still hasn't come back to Jesus just yet. She's got that Jesus tattoo, but she still just has not come back to the Lord just yet. And we all hope that she will.
An error, and it wasn't a mistake. So this, I think you're speaking about their public view of the case.
I'm telling you that their view of it is that public. It's an El Salvador citizen who was sent back to El Salvador, who was in the country illegally, who, according to some people in his long process, which does include an existing deportation order, believes that he has an affiliation with MS-13. As I said, there's no version of this man's life where he comes back. And let me say one more thing. The people that want him brought back need to understand something. If the president of El Salvador releases him, and we do facilitate his return, when he lands in this country, one of two things will happen. He will be arrested, and then he'll either be sent back to El Salvador, where he is now, or some other country that I promise you don't want to go to. He's not going to be allowed to come back and live in this country as though he is a U.S. citizen.
That's literally the definition of tyranny, right? So here's what's going to happen. We're going to throw him in jail. No, there's a thing called the rule of law and due process, which has not been followed in this case. And if I have a slightly optimistic take on this, I actually think this is going to come back to bite the Trump administration, because what's going to happen is the next time this goes up the court system, they have absolutely zero credibility to say, don't worry, you can file a habeas petition, you can get your person back. The courts are not going to allow this to happen. And the idea that the Trump administration has the right of fiat to just decide to ship somebody off to another country, that is fundamentally opposed to everything a constitutional democracy.
They have the ability to deport people who have deportation orders. Do they not? He got due process. He has a deportation order.
But then why didn't they make that argument?
Withholding of his removal order, so he was in the country.
Why did he have a withholding?
Because an immigration judge ruled that.
What was the argument? Because he was fearful of a gang that hasn't existed in El Salvador.
So sorry again for the echoes, guys, on these clips. I apologize for that. I'm going to try and fix that. I should be able to do so today, but as you noted, there are some feedback problems with it. Do you get, the thing is people are saying that it's not every clip that is doing that. Let me ask you, is it doing it on this clip?
So explain to our audience why even a trip like this one, all the trips that we take into space benefit mankind.
So it benefits humankind, and I'm going to keep correcting the mankind and the man-made and the man missions, because this is exactly what this mission is about, is expanding the perspective of who does space.
So explain to our audience.
Yeah, so I muted the microphone during that. It could be that it's coming through on the microphone. I apologize, guys. I'm going to try and give a fix on that when we have Camellia here in about 15 minutes. I got to take a quick little break, see if I can't tweak it, and I'll be right back, guys. Don't go away. Help to unlock that bonus content. Go to 4libertyshop.com, the number 4, libertyshop.com. Remember, whoever it is that unlocks the bonus content this morning through either a purchase or a Rumble rant, we're at $30 raised. Once we hit 75, you guys are, whoever hits the $75 total will also receive a prize today. All right, we'll be right back. It's the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network. Tired of spending your hard-earned money on woke corporations that don't share your pro-freedom values? Fed up with sipping liberal lattes and progressive cappuccinos? Introducing Founding Flavors from AP for Liberty Shop. Get your day started with Washington's revolutionary roast. As robust and principled as the man himself, this blend is the shot of energy heard round the world. Or maybe you want to taste the fervor of freedom with Adams's patriotic perk. It's as dynamic and balanced as the U.S. Constitution, sure to awaken your spirit of liberty. For the aficionados, we've got the Jeffersonian Java, a complex mix of flavors that speaks volumes about your refined tastes. And don't forget Betsy's Liberty Lullaby, our decaf option, crafted with the same care and dedication Betsy Ross put into our Star-Spangled Banner. This blend lets you enjoy the taste of freedom anytime without losing sleep. No woke beans here, folks. Just pure, patriotic, pro-freedom flavors brewed with love for liberty. So why compromise your principles for a cup of coffee? Stand up for your values, perk up your patriotism, and start your day the American way. Get your Founding Flavors at apforlibertyshop.com.
That we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that at the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian and always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
What is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
The conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government. Get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
Do you hate the deep state? Do you reject the Antichrist in all his ways? Do you believe that aliens controlled LBJ to assassinate John F. Kennedy? Did you know that the shot can put chemicals in you that will make you more sensitive to 5G? Do you love America? Do you want more freedom? Do you like smoking hot red-headed libertarians? Then the AP for Liberty shop is for you! Check out all the awesome new merch and have a happy new year! Fight the deep state, reject the Antichrist. Visit AP for Liberty shop and get your patriotic merchandise now, or the deep state wins.
So explain to our audience why, even a trip like this one, all the trips that we take in this space benefit mankind.
So it benefits humankind, and I'm going to keep correcting the mankind and the man-made and the man missions, because this is exactly what this mission is about, is expanding the perspective.
They cannot stop lecturing us. Good morning. Rise and freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show. We're on the For Liberty Network. There are 4 shows on the For Liberty Network, and I'm one of them. Today's Tuesday, which means that another show will be playing tonight. Culturama, our friend Daniela Pensack hosts Culturama, the Marilyn Monroe with a master's degree, as we like to say. She hosts her own podcast on our network. We all work together to try and advance the ideas of economic freedom and personal liberty. If you've never met Daniela Pensack, she's whip crack smart, wonderful girl, excellent presenter. She does a great show, and it's right here on the For Liberty Network tonight at 7 p.m. Central Time, just for whichever time zone you may be in. Daniela will be live at rumble.com/Culturama. Culturama show taking back tomorrow today. Check them out at rumble.com/Culturama and meet Daniela if you haven't. She's the hostess with the mostest. Check her out at rumble.com/Culturama. I think that you guys will absolutely love her and her show. So don't miss it. Make sure that you guys are setting appointments for all the great shows on the For Liberty Network. Daniela's Tuesday and Thursday night. And on Thursday night, right after, you can check out Liberty Tonight. Mongoose87 says, echo gone. Yeah, I figured out a way to make it go away, but it's a huge problem because it also mutes my microphone. So it could be bleed through from my microphone, but it looks like it's coming through on the board. So appreciate all of you guys who are out there trying to help with the audio situation that we've got going on, because every once in a while, things just blow up. If you turn off your computers, and there's 2 big computers operating here, setting for whatever reason, just randomly settings will just turn off, and you'll have to go in and turn them on. So it's just a real nightmare. But Luke Sacker, they told their husbands that they need some space from Gutfeld last night. There we go. Katy Perry says she will definitely be writing a song about her experience. Great. I'm not going to lie, guys. I actually it's a guilty pleasure, but I kind of love Katy Perry, to be quite honest. I mean, guys, hello. 10 years ago, right? 10 years ago, right? She's a stang. Now I'm a one-woman man, Stephanie Peterson, only girl I ever think of. Aren't you glad to be here? Don't forget, if you haven't, guys, click the like button on the stream. Help support the Wake Up America show. If today's your first time watching the Wake Up America show, click the follow button as well. If you click the follow button, you'll get a notification on your mobile phone when we go live, which is every Monday through Friday from 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time here on the Wake Up America show. Just an FYI, we have a bonus content program, and to unlock the bonus content, all we have to do is hit $75 raised in either Rumble Rants, that's direct donations, or in purchases at forlibertyshop.com. My boy Drew this morning, he went to forlibertyshop.com. And when he did, he decided to get himself a sweet Gulf of America t-shirt. Everybody's going to want these shirts and towels this spring and this summer. When things get warm, we've got 2 big, beautiful towels. Check out forlibertyshop.com. We've already raised $30 towards I think it's $35 towards the $75 goal. So not much more to go. And then you guys will get to see today's bonus content instead of commercials, which I have to go to get Camellia. So let's just go unlock the bonus content now, so you can watch, instead of the commercials, just watch the awesome bonus content. But the Summer of Freedom collection has got people talking too. I love when we share the AI pictures that we make for our products, which AI is just amazing for this. And people are like, how old are those girls? It's disgusting, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, bro, first of all, they're pretty sure they're of age, but even if they weren't, they're not doing anything wrong. It's just like girls on the beach who happen to be like teenagers holding up a Gulf of America. If you made it bad, it's because you have got a problem. What's wrong with you? Okay. Thank you. So check out the Summer of Freedom collection and Gulf of America collection as well at 4libertyshop.com. That's the number 4, libertyshop.com. The Gulf of America pirate flag beach towel, another big hit design. We also have tumblers as well. So if you go to 4libertyshop.com, guys, and if you have been there, don't forget, guys, to write reviews of your products. Once somebody hits that $75 bonus goal today, then here's what's going to happen. They are also going to get a free piece of campaign memorabilia from my 2016 Libertarian presidential campaign. So whoever hits that $75 bonus content goal this morning is going to win a bonus. Itchy McGroin says, got to go check out Evita. She reminds me of my first wife, who took most of my money but was sweet and smiled about it. Is there a pain emoji? Yes. And relaxing McGroin, yes. And they're AI. And the girls are AI. Exactly. This Lady of Liberty here is not AI. Wearing the I Love Mises 2 pieces ladies bikini. There you go. I Love Mises 2 pieces. 2-piece ladies bikini. Does anybody get it? I Love Mises 2 pieces. So go to 4libertyshop.com. That's the number 4libertyshop.com, guys, and unlock that bonus content. Get your girl something nice there, a little bikini. What do you say? Okay, so we got to get Camellia. We haven't unlocked the bonus content, so I hate to do this to you guys because I got to play commercials, but that's what we do to try and grow the Wake Up America show. So if somebody unlocks the bonus content, hits that $75 thing during the commercials, I will switch over to the bonus content during the commercials so you don't have to watch them. But I got to go get Camellia, and we're going to talk to her about this story. Cultural relativism is really the topic, but the news hook is ancient altar found in Guatemala jungle, apparently used for sacrifices, quote, especially of children, according to archaeologists. We'll talk about that when we get back on the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network. Tired of spending your hard-earned money on woke corporations that don't share your pro-freedom values? Fed up with sipping liberal lattes and progressive cappuccinos? Introducing Founding Flavors from AP for Liberty Shop. Get your day started with Washington's Revolutionary Roast. As robust and principled as the man himself, this blend is the shot of energy heard round the world. Or maybe you want to taste the fervor of freedom with Adams's Patriotic Perk. It's as dynamic and balanced as the U.S. Constitution, sure to awaken your spirit of liberty. For the aficionados, we've got the Jeffersonian Java, a complex mix of flavors that speaks volumes about your refined tastes. And don't forget Betsy's Liberty Lullaby, our decaf option, crafted with the same care and dedication Betsy Ross put into our Star-Spangled Banner. This blend lets you enjoy the taste of freedom anytime without losing sleep. No woke beans here, folks. Just pure, patriotic, pro-freedom flavors brewed with love for liberty. So why compromise your principles for a cup of coffee? Stand up for your values, perk up your patriotism, and start your day the American way. Get your founding flavors at apforlibertyshop.com. He did it. He did it. The mad lad did it. Gannon went to the 4 Liberty Shop, guys. He unlocked the bonus content for you, and he bought a Killdozer Pulo. Pulo. What's a Pulo? Well, these are guns in the shape of pillows. Or pillows, excuse me, pillows. Guns in the shapes of pillows. What would that look like? Oh, God, Austin, you idiot. Nevertheless, he persisted. Guns, pillows in the shape of guns. And we have one that is the Killdozer. So for any Killdozer fans out there, you can get pillows in the shape of a Killdozer at 4libertyshop.com. That unlocks the bonus content, and enjoy it. And I'll be right back with Camellia. All right, folks, buckle up. Today's story has everything: international pop stars, government overreach, a questionable lyric, and a courtroom with way too much time on its hands. We're heading to Colombia, where a group of reggaeton superstars, Karol G, J Balvin, Maluma, and a few others, recently released a song titled +57, which, yes, is the country's calling code, but also now apparently stands for Exhibit A in a constitutional court case. See, in this track, there's a lyric that refers to a girl as a mamacita desde los 14. Translation, hot mama since she was 14. Gross, yes. Tone deaf, absolutely. But according to Colombia's High Court, it's more than that. It's a violation of children's rights. The court ruled that the lyric contributes to the sexualization of minors and therefore undermines the rights and dignity of children. They actually used those words. This wasn't a Twitter mob or a parental advisory sticker. This was a legal ruling from the country's top judges, deciding that a pop song lyric had officially crossed the constitutional line. And because this isn't satire, although it feels like it, they ordered the artist to release a new version of the song, which they did, replacing 14 with 18. Crisis averted. The minors are now safe from the devastating influence of a reggaeton hook. Now look, let's be real. This lyric was dumb. Nobody should be writing bangers about underage girls. But does it really warrant a ruling from the Constitutional Court? Do we want the state becoming the final editor of every Spotify playlist? This is the part where you realize that government censorship never starts with something popular. It starts with something tasteless, something easy to hate. Then, once the precedent's set, it slowly becomes a tool to silence anyone. Not just reggaeton stars, but comedians, writers, podcasters, maybe even someone like you. And let's be honest, this is reggaeton we're talking about. The genre is built on wild beats, spicy lyrics, and just enough auto-tune to confuse a parrot. If this one line in Plus 57 is a threat to the fabric of society, then the entire Billboard Latin Top 100 is a constitutional crisis. Meanwhile, Colombia's got real problems, like actual violent crime, corruption, inflation. But sure, let's put the court's resources toward red penciling lyrics. What's next? Charging Daddy Yankee with war crimes? Putting Bad Bunny on a watch list? Here's what really gets me. This isn't even about protecting kids. It's about performative politics. It's about pretending you're fixing society by going after songs instead of systems. And honestly, it's lazy. You want to help kids, crack down on actual abuse, improve schools, support families? You want to clean up music? Let the market do its thing. Let listeners decide what's worth hearing, and let artists suffer the backlash when they cross the line. Now, here's the part of the show where I thank God and the Founding Fathers that I live in a country where lyrics like this might get roasted, but not ruled on by the Supreme Court. Because let's face it, if you gave American courts the same power Colombia just used, half the 90s hip-hop catalog would be locked in Alcatraz. Eminem would be doing life, and the FCC would have a SWAT team for every bar that plays WAP. But here, we may bicker, we may cancel, we may meme people into oblivion, but we don't call the cops over a bad rhyme. So here's to America, where you're still allowed to make bad music, bad decisions, and bad metaphors without needing a lawyer. Because in the land of the free, you can roll your eyes, change the station, and move on with your life, without the Constitution weighing in on reggaeton. That's liberty, that's sanity, and on some days, that's enough. Good morning. Rise in freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show. We're on the For Liberty Network, and we're so glad and thankful to have you here. We've been having a good time this morning talking about the Blue Origin Jeff Bezos space launch featuring Katy Perry and his fiancee Lauren Sanchez. Or did they get married? Did they tie the knot? Not quite sure. She kissed the ground and she liked it. For some reason, Wendy's hamburger chain decided to weigh in on the Katy Perry goes to space, saying, can they just leave her up there? I think there's a lot of celebrities that we'd like to see go up there. I actually pitched Fox and Friends again this week to try and get back on this morning, and I said, let's talk about the space launch. And if they had booked me to talk about this topic, I was going to say, I'm just reminded of the time that Ron Paul in a debate for President of the United States says that, you know, I don't think that the United States government should be going to the moon, but I do think we should send a lot of politicians there. So I didn't get to say that on Fox, guys. So I'll say it, share it with you. Hanging out with me right now is one politician that I would never want to send to the moon. Oh, her face when I said that. I should have captured that. Oh, my goodness. Camelia Peterson, lobbyist, politician, same thing, right?
Oh, probably. Just swamp creature, right?
Hey, they say you have enemies. They say if you have enemies, that means that you stood up for something once in your life, Camelia. And now you do have it. It used to be the sweet little liberty activist here in Missouri. Now you got other institutions coming at you.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't necessarily use that as my criteria for, what's good or not. But apparently, I live rent-free in some people's heads.
Here's the thing. Life is like a video game in many ways. And when it gets harder and when people are fighting you, that means that you're getting close to the main boss, right? That means you're getting close to the treasure. So keep fighting, Camelia. Let's talk about ideas. The Wake Up America show, we do focus on news hooks. I use news hooks, but I really like to talk about ideas even more. And I actually think that this story is a really good way for us to kind of sidestep into the conversation about things like foreign policy, especially in light of the Dave Smith, Douglas Murray debate that went on last week that everybody's still talking about and discussing. But this is a story that came out last week, and the heading is Ancient Altar Found in Guatemala Jungle, apparently used for sacrifices, especially of children, archaeologists say. So this is an altar from the Teotihuacan culture at the pre-Hispanic heart of what became Mexico. So it was discovered in Guatemala, the center of Mayan culture, and essentially it is this mysterious city. It was one of the largest in the world between 100 BC and 750 years after Christ, but it was abandoned before the rise of the Aztecs. So the archaeologists who led the discovery said the Teotihuacan altar was believed to have been used for sacrifices, especially of children. The remains of 3 children not older than 4 years were found on 3 sides of the altar. This is some Indiana Jones stuff. What's your reaction? I mean, other than disgust, Camelia?
Right. Well, I mean, when we talk about, civilized cultures and, what makes one culture better than another, it's really hard to wrap your mind around the fact that a culture would, that is part of someone's culture, that it would be a positive thing to sacrifice your children, to sacrifice any human for that matter. I mean, to me, people like that are much closer to the animal kingdom than they are to the human, right? I mean, that is, but I think it also goes to show that when you get enough people together and they are looking for explanations for things that they will do, for things that they can't explain, they will look for any reason, and they will do very strange things in an effort to make the unknowable or the unexplainable explainable. And so somewhere along the way, someone convinced these people. And once you start, that process, like undoing that, because, it like that becomes reality in people's minds and they have a hard time separating that. And it's hard to imagine falling for that, because you think, okay, well, the basis for our culture and for our rights is that, you don't hurt anybody else. Like, these are the tenets of libertarianism, right? I mean, you don't do anything that harms someone else. Otherwise, everybody just, leaves each other alone. And clearly, that's not just like a common sense thing in some cultures. And I think that, when you do see those things, it always goes back to religious practices and ways of appeasing a deity or something that, like I said, that they can't explain, that they think has some sort of impact on, their well-being.
One of the things I remember from my childhood growing up in the church was the transition of the old law, the Old Testament, and the Jesus Christ fulfilling the law and changing the rules of sacrifices, because sacrifice was, of course, very common in the Old Testament. And, even human sacrifice was not unknown. Most people who remember the Bible will remember the story of, was it Abraham and Isaac, when he was asked to sacrifice his own son on the altar, which, of course, it was nice of God to say, just kidding, right? Just testing, just to test, right? Don't kill your son. But human sacrifice is a meaningful concept. And of course, Jesus himself was a sacrifice, which was supposed to symbolize that it was no longer necessary for you to take doves or goats or chickens or whatever they did to sacrifice in the temples, as the old Jewish traditions required. And the concept of scapegoats, right? And scapegoating, most people don't know the etymology of that word, of course, is that there used to be an actual literal goat that they would place all of their sins on and then drive it into the desert as a means to cleanse themselves. Well, Jesus became the ultimate scapegoat. Jesus became the ultimate sacrifice, which washes away the blood of the sins of mankind. And of course, that's all history from there. But this concept of sacrifices, it's powerful. It's still powerful in our memory today. It's still part of our culture and our language, right? This idea of sacrifice. Ayn Rand abhorred it. She saw this as a form of altruism, which she saw as a weakness of society. But I think in some ways, I mean, there is, I guess if there was some metaphor, if you didn't have to kill a baby or a goat, drive a goat into the desert, I can see how like a cleansing, some kind of a spiritual cleanse in such a way, making some kind of a sacrifice. I guess Lent may be like the least abhorrent form of sacrifice. You're just giving up some food, right? And I can see how that could be good for people.
Sure. Well, I think that anytime, and I think this is something that you see across religions, no matter what, is some form of, giving something up personally, or, forcing yourself to do without in some way, because it does, remind you, like it's good to be reminded of our human frailty and, the fact that what our needs versus wants are. So I think that there is some value in personal sacrifice in that way. But it's like anything else, we tend to take these things too far and make more of them than what they are. And it's kind of like the toxic sympathy issue, where, you end up doing harm in the goal of doing good.
Right. And when you see stories like these, the ancient altar found in the Guatemalan jungle used for sacrifices, especially of children, I mean, I have a very active imagination. I don't know about you, so I'm very good at picturing these kinds of situations and things. And back in the early days of the internet, you used to be able to actually see things like this that still happen, that have been recorded and on video. It used to be pretty easy to see things like that. Now social media filters and censors will kind of stop it. Every once in a while, Instagram will freak out and start sending me Ukraine war footage of death videos and murders and all that kind of stuff, right? Which it gives me a nightmare still to this day as an adult. And it does change your perspective to see these things as they happen in reality. To imagine them, though, it can be difficult, I imagine, for some people to understand. You could feel the pain of these children, these sacrifices. But one of the big memes that has come out of this discussion has been of the conquistador Catholics who, despite bringing conquest to the New World and conquered these cultures, the Aztecs, Christianity was a significant step up from Mayan and Aztec culture, wasn't it?
Sure. Oh, I think 100%. Now, that is, I think every religion, well, maybe not every religion, but historically, even Christianity has had its foibles when it comes to, like if you, when you talk, we probably don't want to get into the Crusades, but, and you can talk about what was justified or not. But the point is like when you wholesale slaughter people in the name of your religion, no matter what it is, like, you might want to take a step back and question some things. And I think that, as time has gone on, we have seen that happen. And I view that as us, advancing as a society and, as a species, like that makes us better. It makes us less close to the animal kingdom. So I think that's a good thing. But yes, I mean, for sure, I think that they brought, and they were culturally just much more advanced, technologically more advanced, maybe it's debatable, but it was an improvement, but it certainly had its downsides too.
So in order to infuriate everyone, I'm going to bring up a modern cultural discussion that we're having in regards to the difference between the Palestinians and the Israelis. Because when I bring up this topic of discussion at libertarian events or conferences or debates and things like that, they loudly boo me when I say things like, Israeli culture is superior to Palestinian culture. Palestinians elect terrorists to dig, to take resources that they use to dig tunnels and take hostages and, rape and pillage and slaughter. And the Israelis would leave them alone if they would be left alone. But Israeli culture, modern, liberal in the good sense, technologically advanced, they offer patents to the world. Right. This is like the difference between the Aztecs, the Mayan slaughterers of children, and the conquistadors to an extent. I would give Israel even a little more credit than that. Is this not a case of cultural superiority? Because I'm supposed to be told I'm supposed to feel terrible. Often the Palestinian children, they slaughter children. These are like the Mayans, these child sacrifices. What makes the Palestinians any different than the Mayans of this culture? And yet I am supposed to say, well, what about the children? You kill children, you rape them, you slaughter them. I mean, am I taking crazy pills?
No, and I would say that, to me, you would think, okay, we're talking about two different religions, and is that what makes the difference? But I'm not so sure it is. When we talk about, you've talked before about, if you're talking about Islamic culture versus Christianity versus Judaism, what is the more superior, faith or culture? And, you've always very clearly said that, Judaism and Christianity stand above the rest. And so I think back to, the history of Iran, and we know what it's like now. It's very oppressive, but that was not so much the case in the 70s. And to me, I think the difference in a lot of this is whether or not you make your religion the government. And so Israel has a secular government. They don't have a theocracy, so to speak. I think that some people think they do, but they don't. And I do think that so much now, I think when you talk about Hamas and some of those groups, I think they are backwards and debased, and there's more going on to it than that. But they do use that Muslim faith as their excuse for their behavior. There's always some, greater good or reward, or there's some reason that they give for their atrocities. And we absolutely should not respect that. And I think that that is a huge problem with, centralizing your government or ruling over people by your religion.
Yeah. And, it's just like we don't allow people to use religious excuses in the West to commit child abuse or to commit crimes, things that Islam allows in their countries and their cultures and their religion. I mean, I don't need to talk about the Bocce boys or the unbelievable amount of child assault that goes on in countries like Afghanistan, which we hear from special forces operators that come back and tell us these stories about and in terms of the compatibility of the big three, right? My argument has been that Judaism and Christianity are compatible with the ideals of Western civilization, whereas I argue that Islam is not compatible with Western civilization, at least not in its current form. And this has to do with my argument that Islam never benefited from the Enlightenment, right? Whatever you think about Thomas Paine or Adam Smith or, the Scottish Enlightenment or the Enlightenment in general, Islam did not have the experience that Christianity and Judaism did in having the more darker, more violent sects of their religion being, I guess, chastened by those behaviors. So these are conversations it's difficult to have with people because they don't really have a lot of cultural context because they haven't had Muslims in their country before. Well, now we do. And now we have to learn these things. And if someone were to hear me to say this out of context, it might sound rather illiberal, what I'm saying. But what I'm accusing Islam of being is illiberal. I mean, you get it, right, Camellia?
Sure. Well, I mean, I think that we all know people who are of the Muslim faith. And I think here in America, a lot of people can think, I know really, really good people who are of the Muslim faith, and they
Yes.
would never do those kind of things. And that may be, I mean, and that's absolutely true. However, if this is what your religion is known by, like you are really between a rock and a hard place, and it is incumbent upon you to speak out against that very vocally, because you are defined by, like, it doesn't matter if it's fair or not. You are defined by your loudest actors, and the reality is on the world stage, the Muslim faith is defined by violence.
Yes.
And so that is,
Well,
I
even
mean,
in Christianity, like this principle of separating political, like religious authority from state power, it has deep roots in Christian. The idea of render unto Caesar, right? What is Caesar's? To me, this is a concept of like, this is not my realm, right? The earthly realm of coin and of politics is not the realm of Jesus Christ, right? Now, there are a lot of Christians who disagree with that, right? The Christian nationalist movement today would say, no, it's Caesar is God and God is Caesar, right? God on earth and God is, Jesus Christ is king and he must sit on the throne here on the planet. Even though Jesus was specifically rejected when he was tempted by Satan, being the ruler of this earth and these earthly things. And Judaism actually has a long history of maintaining spiritual identity that doesn't mean direct political rule. But Islam has Sharia. There is no separation of church and state under Sharia. And that in itself is a major reason why, especially libertarians, should be able to say, yeah, we can't support Islam in Western civilization because it's antithetical to the ideals of the Enlightenment, right? So, and of course, Western legal traditions, they evolved from Judeo-Christian morality, that we didn't evolve from Sharia, right? So religious law is not state law here, despite how many angry lawmakers want to destroy statues and say that it is.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that we are in this period of, and I kind of feel like that we're sort of coming out of it. Maybe now we're sort of going to the other side of it, this cultural relativism where you can't judge, you can't say like, I can't judge that culture because it's not my culture, right? So I don't have their perspective. Although the irony is that the same people who say that will absolutely use presentism to judge, history itself and the people who acted in those times. And so do I think that there is a certain degree of that in terms of the people who know nothing but those cultures? Yes, I do think that when you're raised in that culture, that's all you know. You don't know what you don't know. But with the digital age and the communication, there's almost, unless you are a completely locked down country, which some of the Muslim countries are, there's not a lot that gets in. You get exposure to so many more ideas. And it's why, countries like China and other ones, they want to block so much from Western culture because they don't want their children and their people exposed to that freedom and those ideas. It's the same reason, similar to why I used to teach English to Chinese kids online several years ago. And I finally reached the point where I couldn't do it anymore because the Chinese government said they basically said that foreign teachers could not teach Chinese kids anymore. And so that's part of that issue is they don't want the influence of those ideas. But I can tell you from working with those kids, even then, that those ideas seep in and they get exposed to them. And sometimes all it takes is that little seed.
You probably got one of those kids killed. Like one of those kids probably got disappeared by now because of speaking with you. I remember that. I remember when you were teaching the kids English early in the mornings. You used to crash at my place and you'd get up at 4 or 5 a.m. and you would teach the kids English. They were Chinese. And I can imagine that. Yeah, I can see why the Chinese would not want you, someone like you especially, teaching them because of your libertarian beliefs, Camellia.
And you had to be you had to be super careful about what you said, right? And did, and even how you reacted, because you knew that they were watching everything. And I'll just never forget that one day when a little boy, probably 9 years old, that was a repeat student and knew me well. He loved Calvin. Actually, he became familiar with Calvin.
The dog, yeah.
Yeah. And so anyway, he there was one day he showed up in class and he said something about Jesus and the Bible and the cross or something. And I'm sitting here thinking, what is going on? And why is he talking about this? And I'm just kind of steady, redirecting to other things because I don't know where this is coming from, but I'm thinking this is probably not okay. But I mean, so they do think, those ideas do seep in. It just is, when you have an oppressive government like the Chinese government, that's why, Christian missionaries go in, but there's only there's an underground, but it takes an enormous effort to overthrow an entire government. It's almost impossible, but it is why so many of them want to come to America, right?
Yeah, but I mean, that it is, yes. But speaking of coming to America, I don't know. I guess I like due process here in the United States, but I like the idea of not allowing hordes of illiberal Muslims who want to bring Sharia law and terrorism to the United States. I think that's a good idea that maybe we keep people like that out.
Yeah, no, I think that in the immigration debate, this has always been the problem, is libertarians are kind of, the reputation is for just completely open borders. Well, okay, I get it, but that's not practical. And the point is that you have to have some kind of criteria if you are going to have a cohesive country and you're going to protect your way of life. And, I will say our way of life has changed, I think, in many ways for the better, as far as the values that we hold and the things that we allow in our culture or don't allow. And so, there's a good balance to be had. And I think that Ellis Island was kind of that approach to where you do have people coming in. I know that sounds mean. Well, it's mean to exclude people on the basis of whether or not they're carrying diseases. But you have to remember at the time, too, that there weren't all of the vaccines. We don't want to talk about vaccines, right? There weren't all of those medications to where if someone came in and they were carrying those diseases, you could have, just rampant sickness that would kill, thousands and thousands of people. So, that was a common sense measure. And you do want people who are going to come here and contribute to society and not just sponge off of everybody. So I think having some standards like that is reasonable.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And I tend to think we should have a freer immigration system, but one that does catch things in nets. And one of the things that we should be catching in nets are people who want to bring illiberal, anti-American views into the United States. This is why, because in countries that are run by leftists, they can't ever be mean. They can't ever be mean. They're not really liberals on the left, right? They're just pussies, right? These progressives. But speaking of, did you happen to catch any of the Dave Smith Douglas Murray debate, or have a particularly strong opinion either way on it?
I've seen bits and pieces as it goes by, and I guess what strikes me and is the least surprising thing the most is there have been a few people that said, basically, when you look at the rhetoric, just depending on who you talk to, everybody kind of saw what they wanted to see out of it. If you had a predisposition one way or the other, why you took that side. There were a few people who maybe didn't do that, and maybe. Who was the debate again? Dave Smith, and I'm losing the other one's name.
Douglas Murray.
Douglas Murray, that's right. Sorry, I knew it was Douglas. I think that people say, "Oh, Douglas Murray, he's a neocon," so that automatically biases them against his expertise in other areas. But did he probably do some things that could have been done differently, as far as in the beginning, where he kind of just launches into sort of an attack without a whole lot of substance in it? Maybe. But the point is that he does, there is a balance. I think when we throw the baby out with the bathwater, when we talk about expertise, that's where we get into trouble. So, Tom, and I'm trying to remember his last name now, he wrote The Death of Expertise. Mm-hmm. And he went, the unfortunate thing is he's an example of somebody who went way to the other extreme in terms of TDS. And so he just became completely insufferable, could not see anything good anywhere in terms of Trump. But he's not wrong in that there is a downside to the death of expertise. So now, on the right, we are faced with this Maha movement, and it's gone from, the far left saying trust the science to the right saying trust our science, right?
Don't trust science at all. Trust what's his name? What's the guy? Well, who was the pastor in Branson who got in trouble during the pandemic for selling the colloidal silver coronavirus cure?
Oh,
you know who I'm talking about, right?
I know you're talking about it. I don't remember the name, but
drink this colloidal silver, it'll cure the coronavirus and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, God darn it. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't have to trust the experts to know you probably ought to not drink silver solution, and that, a guy selling it to you from a television as a pastor is not going to, but people believe, man. They want to believe. And that's really what it is, isn't it? America is a nation of believers.
Well, and I think that that's human nature. I think that, no one can, and that's why we do have to have a certain amount of trust in people who are experts in their field. But we also have to have the discernment to know why they're experts or how they're experts. And we need to be able to read the information for ourselves. Because otherwise, we end up with things like bloodletting being the cure in medicine, or, not having clean hands or things when you're doing things. So I think that that's part of the problem that we're at now, is there's so much distrust that those people believe everything that comes along that sounds right, because there are things that you can't explain, and there must be an explanation for all of those, white clouds in the sky in lines. And so it must be that the government is poisoning us with chemtrails rather than, and the problem is, when you talk about the science of things, people are very good at drawing conclusions from just pulling pieces together, and it sounds like it makes sense.
Yes. Oh, people are very good at it. It's
if you haven't had the training to really think critically and question through those things, it's very easy to be fooled by things.
I cannot recommend this book enough for our viewers of the Wake Up America show. This is the kind of guy. This is the type of libertarian that I am, right? And I don't agree with him on everything. Michael Shermer has said some things that I disagree with, but I think overall his approach to thinking, this is the closest to where I come from. Conspiracy by Michael Shermer, Why the Rational Believe the Irrational. And he talks about, in here, he sort of describes how it is that people sort of fall for that mindset, or how they fall for things like cults, for example. What is it, the mindset of people that makes them fall prey to this type of thinking? And one of the things is that humans are pattern seeking, meaning that we engage in this thing called patternicity. It's the reason why when we look at clouds in the sky, we see faces, a boat, right? Because, in terms of an evolutionary perspective, there's an animal brain, lizard brain, that's saying recognize faces, recognize threats. And in our modern society, it's easy to use audiovisual tools, television, media to trigger our senses. So in some ways, the conspiracy is that we are sort of being programmed in a way to chase conspiracies, to chase endless rabbit holes. And, of course, it doesn't help when you have so many mind-bending psychotropic drugs available and so many people are on drugs. I don't think that's talked about enough. But I mean, if there's one thing I noticed, and as a person who believes an adult should be allowed to do black tar heroin, no 5-year-olds, I noticed that there was way too much drug abuse going on in the libertarian movement for them to be able to be seen as a sane, credible, rational movement. Because who wants to put people in charge or elect people if they're stoned out of their mind all the time? It's not to, denigrate stoners. We all, have stoner friends. We love friends. All our friends I love a good, going to Herman, getting stoned on beer. But we sort of have a conspiracy brain mindset, and it's crippling us. In my view, I think part of the problem with the whole, no matter whose side you took, Douglas Murray, Dave Smith, people are unfortunately trapped in binary thinking fallacies and conspiracy theories that they're wedded to, like religion, and it's impossible for them to break out of it without some kind of, maybe if I just hit them over the head with this instead of having them read it, what do you think?
I think we are hardwired for curiosity. And I think that, along with that curiosity comes the pursuit of, explaining what we don't know and pursuing truth. Although sometimes, the pursuit of truth is difficult, and it's easier to believe the explanation, the easy explanation that someone else has given you. But I will say, one of the most freeing things that I've experienced in my lifetime was like the truth and honesty and getting things right. Like that's always been really important to me. But it was really freeing when I decided that, it was also okay to say, I don't know. And to internalize that
That's
it's okay.
what I was saying earlier when I was
know.
talking about Bongino. Yeah, I was really impressed. I'm always impressed when someone actually has the guts to say, I don't know. It's very rare these days. I imagine you would know working in politics.
Yes. So, but it is like, to me, there is, I think that gives you, that releases you from this just imperative that creates this internal tension to explain every little thing that you see. And we literally cannot do it. That's why we need specialization and experts and whatnot, because we can't explain every little thing. So I think that and like everything else, there's a balance there. We still, are constantly in pursuit of truth, and we should try to discern, what is accurate or not, and use critical thinking skills, but also be able to accept that it's okay, like not to know every little thing.
Yeah, it is. Camellia, we don't know everything. We just try our best. Is there anything else you want to share with our listeners before we let you go today, Camellia?
No, I am just for our Missouri folks. If you're in the St. Louis, St. Charles County area, come on out and join us Wednesday evening. Glenn Jacobs, aka Kane, is going to be in the house in St. Charles, and feel free to shoot me a message if you want details about that. But we'd love to have you join us, and he's going to come talk to us about ending the state income tax in Missouri.
There we go. I'm all for it. You know me. If you need me to show up and annoy a Democrat senator, Camellia, just let me know, okay? Have a great one.
Yes, you too. Have a great day, everyone.
All right, thanks. Bye.
We've been listening to a lengthy live press conference inside the Oval Office with the leader of El Salvador, Bukele, where we have heard a lot of bits of information, a lot of news nuggets that we want to definitely focus on, a lot of some misinformation as well. But we want to digest all of this right now with our terrific panel here and our reporters. Jeff Zeleny, I want to start with you. You are at the White House. Before I get to you, I just want to say, for the record, since we heard President Trump say in the Oval Office that CNN hates our country, CNN does not hate our country. That should go without saying. I've been here for 32 years, and I see a rhetorical device in him trying to say such a thing.
Oh my gosh! CNN does not hate America. Should it really go without saying? If it goes without saying, then why did CNN have to say it? Good morning, pineapples. Looking very good and very nice.
Good morning, pineapple. Looking very good, very nice. Good morning, pineapple. Looking very good, very nice.
Good morning to Entropy Nomad, Quagmire, Joni Rankin, Brad Beckman, Quest Fanning, Joey Maddow, our new guy. What's up, brother? L-Dove78, Latrell, he's my OG. As well as T-Mill22, Decision Points, and so many others. Bruce Burtwhistle, if I missed you, I apologize, but we're glad to have you here. Has everybody clicked the like button yet over on the stream? We'd be glad to have you be a regular guest, because the Wake Up America show is a 5-day-a-week show at 4 Liberties Network. You know what I really love back here? All this conversation that we're having online about Winston Churchill. And then check this out. Look at Winston Churchill right there behind Donald Trump. It looks like Donald Trump had to put that back in the office twice. The bust of Winston Churchill, Donald Trump posing with right here in this frame. We've been having this conversation about who's the chief villain of World War II, a chief villain of World War II. And some on the right have been trying to point the finger at Winston Churchill. And as you can see right here, Donald Trump appears to be a big fan. Big, huge. Looking very good to very nice. Good morning, pineapple. Looking very good to very nice. 5 things that you should avoid at the airport. According to nutrition experts, rather not chance it. Things are looking up for airport dining. Gone are the days of limited selection of overpriced and underwhelming food options. In naming their top 10 U.S. airports for food and drink this month, Food and Wine noted that the fare in layover land has shifted from the pragmatic to the palatable. With more choices than ever before, it's important to pick wisely. The last thing you want to do is eat a mediocre meal and then cram yourself into a metal tube with wings for several hours. I don't know about you guys, but I try and avoid bringing food onto the plane unless it's something like crackers or something like that. Of course, leave it to me to be a person who actually cares about my fellow passengers on the airplane. I'm sure that plenty of people don't. But have you ever had that situation where you're on an airplane and the person next to you has just decided, for whatever reason, they're going to bring the stinkiest, most god-awful, disgusting smelling food? And I mean, even like McDonald's, which, may be inoffensive for most of Americans, I still think is something you should try not to bring on a plane, just because, again, you just you can't get out. There's nowhere to go. And do they have good air filters in airplanes? Yes, absolutely. Could you, in theory, use a vaporizer or maybe smoke a cigarette without necessarily disturbing too many people around you because of the filtration systems and these things? Yes. Is America ready for that conversation? No, they're not ready for that conversation. I know, Austin, smoking is bad. Well, shut up. If you're ever on a flight and you just want to enjoy a fag, well, then you should be allowed to. I miss the bathroom reader, says Quagmire0. I wonder if they make those books still. Yeah, guys, remember they used to have some amazing products that I used to actually I really wanted. Maybe it's because I was a kid and a lot of the stuff was stupid, but I really enjoyed the bathroom readers, and you never see those anymore. But let's talk about some of the things that you might want to avoid before your next flight. We got a flight coming up for the AP DC Liberty Tour. Stephanie and I, it's our first time flying with a baby. We're going to do whatever we can to try and make it the trip as easy and simple as it can be for people that are going to be sitting around us. I'm thinking about doing little gift bags in case she cries and saying, sorry, enjoy these treats on us. But alcohol, whiskey is risky. Airlines have the right to refuse passengers who booze too hard at the airport. Say you make it onto the plane. Do you want to spend the flight sick in a compact commode? Okay, honestly, been there, done that. It was a Las Vegas trip, though, so totally understand. It was Spirit Airlines. Oh, God. I was that guy on the Spirit Airlines. And even small amounts of alcohol can lead to dehydration and increased urination. And who wants to have to get up on the flight? That's why I am the person who does not want to sit next to the window, because if you got to pee, you got to get up, disturb the person next to you, which always sucks. And then when you disturb, and here's the thing, I'm a thick boy, okay? THICCBOI. You know what I mean? And so it matters. For you skinny minis out there, it may not matter if you get up to pee and you have got no junk in your trunk, but I've got a badonkadonk. I mean, I've got a big butt. So it's either do I give them the juicy hindquarters or do I give them the pee-pee, right? Not questions that I really want to have to answer. So if you drink alcohol, you're going to have to pee on the flight. So yes. Registered dietitian nutritionist at Northwell Huntington Hospital, Stephanie Schiff, says, I don't recommend drinking alcohol before a flight. At least not too much. Okay, true. Makes good sense. Here's a tip for flying with a baby. Don't give an F. Do your best. People that get super upset over kids crying need to invest in headphones. Okay, good point. Yes. Spirit Airlines canceled Brad Beckman's trip to Las Vegas October, 9 days before he was set to leave. How does that work? Ended up costing him twice as much to rebook. Really? And they had to charge you to rebook? Don't they just give you another flight? I guess I haven't flown Spirit in a while. Another thing that you might want to avoid on the flight, and I know you guys aren't going to like this one, but these are hospital dietitians saying this. Caffeinated beverages. Bad news, brew fans. Caffeine is also a diuretic. So while many travelers arrived at the airport sleep deprived, intake of caffeine is not without consequence. What about coffee? Gosh darn it. Not only can it send you to the bathroom more often depending on the individual, it also may result in rebound sleepiness, affecting one's energy levels once they land or eager to enjoy their stay. Why are you trying to take all of my fun out of my flights? Fountain drinks, same thing. The increased risk for bacterial ingestion. Oh my God, what? Bacterial ingestion. Listen to this. The increased risk for bacterial ingestion if the beverage dispenser has not been cleaned properly, plus the added sugar is not worth the momentary enjoyment. So apparently some of the fountain drinks at the airports have been found to contain all kinds of nasty disease-causing viruses on some of these sugary soda fountains. Well, that right there is a good enough reason not to do that before you get on the airplane, right? Well, maybe just get the bottle out of the vending machines. Would those be better? It doesn't say. Beans, okay. If you can't stomach the pressure, Schiff also recommends avoiding beans and cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and cauliflower. Why do they call these vegetables cruciferous? I will never understand. And I won't listen to anyone who tries to explain it. These foods can cause bloating, which can be worse when you fly due to changes in air pressure. Okay, beans, not so magical fruit. The more you eat, the more you poot. The more you poot, the better you feel. You don't want to deal with that on a plane, so avoid those bean burritos. Good to know. Prepackaged and self-serve food. Come on, why are you... Lady, shut up. Many airport vendors sell grab-and-go prepackaged salads and wraps. That's a no-go for Schiff. Although I love salads and cut fruit when I'm home, I don't buy them in airports. Because here's why. I don't know if they've been washed or handled, and you can contract illnesses like E. coli or norovirus. A lot of these salads do contain a lot of bacteria. Why? Bacteria grows most rapidly between 40 degrees Fahrenheit and 140 degrees Fahrenheit, a range known as the danger zone. So another registered dietitian suggests looking for expiration dates on prepackaged foods to ensure you're within the window. Perishable foods should be consumed within 2 hours of them leaving the safe temperature zone. After that time frame, bacteria can grow. So if you buy yogurt, eat it within 2 hours. If you're planning to stock up for a 6-hour flight and wait until hour 4, you're putting yourself at risk of developing a foodborne illness. So water is a must. Bring an empty water bottle and then fill it inside the airport after going through security. And you can also carry single-serve portions of your favorite electrolyte powder to add to airport water, shelf-stable snacks, Kind bars, chocolate-covered nuts, trail mix, hard cheeses like cheddar, provolone, and Swiss packaged with crackers or nuts. Each of these is satisfying, and then it's unlikely to leave you feeling ill or rushing to the bathroom. So if that doesn't sound appetizing, you can always bring solid food like sandwiches and snacks through security. This way you get to eat what you want. You know it's safe, and you don't have to deal with high airport prices. Good, nice. Austin, why are you talking about airports? You know why? Because we're all going to Washington, D.C. together for the AP D.C. Liberty Tour. At least many of us are. Mr. Fauci, bring us a dream. Do you have your real ID, guys? Well, you're going to need it if you want to fly. But actually, I think we're in under the window. AP's D.C. Liberty Tour, May 1st through the 3rd, 2025. The Liberty Tour merch packages that people have purchased as upgrades have been put together. We're really excited about that. We're going to do a live recording of the Wake Up America show. Super excited for that. The Wake Up America show will be out, though, that Thursday. You'll see the Friday morning. So Thursday is going to be the morning we're going to be together at the Capitol Tour, so there'll be no show May 1st. There will be a show May 2nd. For while we're in Washington, D.C. It'll be at my buddy Joe's house, and we'll gather together for those who purchased the upgraded package so that they could hang out with us on the recording. AP's D.C. Liberty tour, May 1st to the 3rd, this coming month. So 2 weeks from now, you, me, Quest Fanning, my brother Justin Peterson, Stephanie Hazel, all of our friends hanging out together in Washington, D.C. We're going to be flying out there the day before and having a wonderful time. Cannot wait to see Cecilia. She got 2 of the upgraded merch packages, so she gets one of our cool, 2 of our cool shirts, coffee, tea, whatever she decided on, and a bunch of other little goodies from the For Liberty shop. The AP DC Liberty Tour base package still available. We do have 2 more tickets available, adult tickets. Kids are free, so if you've got 2 adults, we've got room for one more group, and they're really excited to see us. Congressman Bob Onder will be there to take a picture of us. We're going to go to one of my favorite restaurants in the Washington, D.C. area special. It's a Peruvian chicken joint. It's the Revolutionary War weekend at Mount Vernon. If you guys are going, don't forget, guys, you've still got to get your Mount Vernon tickets as well. Those are sold separately. Tickets can be purchased in advance on that site there. So Mount Vernon, plan your visit. You can buy them ahead of time or buy them at the gate. It's up to you. There might be some savings if you buy it ahead of time. But since it's Revolutionary War weekend, they're going to do reenactments. They're rebuilding George Washington's battlefield tent, which I'm super excited about. We're going to meet Congressman Bob Onder. We're going to go to Peruvian chicken joints. We're going to have artificial intelligence, Thomas Jefferson, hanging out with us. We're going to the American History Museum, the Jefferson Memorial. It's going to be amazing. So make sure, guys, that you bring some healthy snacks. Don't eat beans. Drink fountain soda or any bacteria-laden salad on your way to the APDC Liberty Tour. We don't want anybody to get sick, right? And today is the 15th, so if you all remember, after this date, no refunds. Hey, man, terms of service. We've already spent our money, bought the tickets. Boo to you. You guys, if you want to come, get yourself some tickets. Remember, if you're monthly subscribers to the show, you get a 20% discount. So if you already live out there on the East Coast and you're not too far, and even if you've done the things a million times, come hang out with us. The DC Liberty Tour is going to be a total blast. You get a 20% discount on your ticket, and I got 2 left. So go to forlibertyshop.com. That's the number 4libertyshop.com, guys. And we'll see you guys right back again here tomorrow for Big Brain Time with Judge Andrew Napolitano. It's the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network. Buckle up. Today's story has everything. International pop stars, government overreach, a questionable lyric, and a courtroom with way too much time on its hands. We're heading to Colombia, where a group of reggaeton superstars, Karol G, J Balvin, Maluma, and a few others, recently released a song titled +57, which, yes, is the country's calling code, but also now apparently stands for Exhibit A in a constitutional court case. See, in this track, there's a lyric that refers to a girl as a mamacita desde los 14. Translation, hot mama since she was 14. Gross, yes. Tone deaf, absolutely. But according to Colombia's High Court, it's more than that. It's a violation of children's rights. The court ruled that the lyric contributes to the sexualization of minors and therefore undermines the rights and dignity of children. They actually used those words. This wasn't a Twitter mob or a parental advisory sticker. This was a legal ruling from the country's top judges, deciding that a pop song lyric had officially crossed the constitutional line. And because this isn't satire, although it feels like it, they ordered the artist to release a new version of the song, which they did, replacing 14 with 18. Crisis averted. The minors are now safe from the devastating influence of a reggaeton hook. Now look, let's be real. This lyric was dumb. Nobody should be writing bangers about underage girls. But does it really warrant a ruling from the Constitutional Court? Do we want the state becoming the final editor of every Spotify playlist? This is the part where you realize that government censorship never starts with something popular. It starts with something tasteless, something easy to hate. Then, once the precedent's set, it slowly becomes a tool to silence anyone. Not just reggaeton stars, but comedians, writers, podcasters, maybe even someone like you. And let's be honest, this is reggaeton we're talking about. The genre is built on wild beats, spicy lyrics, and just enough auto-tune to confuse a parrot. If this one line in Plus 57 is a threat to the fabric of society, then the entire Billboard Latin Top 100 is a constitutional crisis. Meanwhile, Colombia's got real problems, like actual violent crime, corruption, inflation. But sure, let's put the court's resources toward red penciling lyrics. What's next? Charging Daddy Yankee with war crimes? Putting Bad Bunny on a watch list? Here's what really gets me. This isn't even about protecting kids. It's about performative politics. It's about pretending you're fixing society by going after songs instead of systems. And honestly, it's lazy. You want to help kids, crack down on actual abuse, improve schools, support families? You want to clean up music? Let the market do its thing. Let listeners decide what's worth hearing, and let artists suffer the backlash when they cross the line. Now, here's the part of the show where I thank God and the Founding Fathers that I live in a country where lyrics like this might get roasted, but not ruled on by the Supreme Court. Because let's face it, if you gave American courts the same power Colombia just used, half the 90s hip-hop catalog would be locked in Alcatraz. Eminem would be doing life, and the FCC would have a SWAT team for every bar that plays WAP. But here, we may bicker, we may cancel, we may meme people into oblivion, but we don't call the cops over a bad rhyme. So here's to America, where you're still allowed to make bad music, bad decisions, and bad metaphors without needing a lawyer. Because in the land of the free, you can roll your eyes, change the station, and move on with your life without the Constitution weighing in on reggaeton. That's liberty, that's